Hello, I'm Tom Ridge, and I'm pleased to partner with AI CPA to take part in the Cyber for CPAs workshop. I'm joining you today by video, but I'll be in Denver shortly, and I look forward to seeing you in person at the conference on Friday. We are living in an age of not just change, but extraordinary change facilitated by the digital speed of the internet. In just over 2 decades, since its commercialization in the early 1990s, the internet has accelerated and altered the way we communicate, learn, shop, conduct business, and handle the most sensitive of personal information and even personal interactions. You would think that a platform so significant and so consequential would have been designed to be secure, but that is not how it was designed. It was designed to enable academics and defense researchers to share openly their research and to collaborate. And then it evolved. Today, the Internet of Things, or as John Chambers from Cisco says, the Internet of Everything, continues to grow exponentially each year. There are devices with connections, not just to our phones and computers and tablets, but to our cars, home door locks, entertainment systems, even our refrigerators. We are constantly finding new ways to make our lives more convenient via digital connections. By 2020, it is expected that over 40 billion devices will be connected to the internet. But there's a dark side. The ubiquity of the internet is its greatest strength, and the ubiquity of the internet is its greatest weakness. And as we make our lives more convenient through billions of connections, we also make ourselves more vulnerable. That threat surface has expanded. There are daily attacks and breaches through which bad actors steal money and IP. They invade the privacy of individual citizens and spy on governments and companies alike. They pilfer customer and employee data and records. They steal intellectual property, trade secrets, business and operational process information, impacting company financial value, its brand, and reputation. They have the capability to cause catastrophic business and societal disruption. You know some, but not all of these threat actors. Ironically, there's a Chinese proverb that goes something like this: flies do not visit an egg with no crack. Well, there are plenty of cracks in the internet and across global organizations, institutions, and businesses, which means there are many flies. Nation states, well-funded criminal organizations, activist groups, and jihadists. Yes, many flies, many biting flies. Now, in reaction, I've heard large companies say, oh, we've got it. We have a great IT security team. And then I hear small and mid-cap say, why would a nation state want to attack our company? Well, if the White House, Department of Defense, NSA, and Congress cannot completely secure their networks, then it is certainly clear that everyone is at risk all the time. Now, for larger brands, the economic motives are clear. For small and mid-caps, the adversaries envision targets that are likely to be less prepared and sophisticated, may be and serve as a potential backdoor into the larger companies with whom they work and with whom they partner. I think over the years, people have begun to understand there's really only two kinds of businesses. Those who have been hacked and know it, and those that have been hacked but don't know it. Hope you understand that as well, because that's the reality. My colleagues from the Bush cabinet, former Secretary of Defense Don Rumsfeld, famously discussed the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. You all remember those days. Now, in recent years, I've heard countless CEOs and CIOs express frustration over the many unknowns of the cyber domain. CEOs in particular tell me now that they get it. They understand that cybersecurity has become a business imperative, not just a technical problem. But they say, what do I do about it? So I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts on this today. It's important to manage the cyber risk before that risk manages you. And in order to do that, it's incumbent upon you to help build a cyber resilient organization. Managing the risk before it manages you means one simple thing. You have to be proactive. If we look at major cyber attacks in recent history, we see organizations that failed to be ready for the range of issues that a breach or attack can expose. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you have a strategy for cyber defense? What preventive measures and policies and technologies do you have in place to protect your company and those with whom you do business? Do these measures align with your business priorities? Are employees trained? Do you have standards and policies in place, both internally and externally with vendors and other partners who may reach into your network? Should a cyber breach or attack take place, do you have plans in place for a technical response to contain, identify, and mitigate the problem? Do you have plans to maintain business continuity and communications? Do you understand what requirements may be placed on your business for breach notifications, as directed perhaps by a government regulator or by contractual obligation? What will you be saying to your customers, your employees, your shareholders if you have them, and to the media? And who in the organization is responsible for communicating with all these groups? You see, cybersecurity is not just an IT or security team issue. It involves your entire business, your entire enterprise. And whether your role is in as enterprise leadership position in the C-suite, or your responsibilities are in another area in the organization, everyone has a role and responsibility for protecting the networks. And there is responsibility for understanding the connections and the interdependencies that your office or one of your colleagues' office has in relation to each other. Those roles and responsibilities need to be assessed and defined before a crisis. Businesses that proactively manage cyber risk and are prepared to quickly fix the inevitable attack or breach, to keep disruption to a minimum, and then bounce back to protect their brands, their shareholders, their employees, and most importantly, their customers, they'll have a competitive advantage in the marketplace. This is how you begin to build a cyber resilient organization. Companies that can't operate or communicate just don't make money. Being cyber resilient makes good business and financial sense, but it's also the right thing to do. The SEC issued guidelines for cyber in 2011. Now, my impression, rarely do government guidelines permanently remain as just suggestions. Typically, they're a path to regulation. Companies that are addressing these issues today will be in a better position to meet quickly evolving standards and even legal precedents that are beginning to emerge. The zeros and ones of cybersecurity and resilience are directly tied to the zeros and ones on your bottom line. It's about taking risk management concepts you may be familiar with from a business and financial perspective and employing them outside the lines of a spreadsheet. As I stated at the beginning of my remarks, we are living in an extraordinary age of change and transformation. Because of our immeasurable global interconnectedness and our interdependencies, because of our inescapable reliance on the digital economy and the growing Internet of Everything, that expanding 21st century threats are forcing us to recognize that those prepared to transform around risk and resilience will be more competitive today and in the years to come. Risk at digital speed is making it apparent to a broader group of stakeholders especially those leading in the C-suite and those with critical financial responsibilities. This mindset within the broader business community is not yet universally adopted, surprisingly. But everywhere I look, I do see significant change. At the end of the day, this is really about the ability to adapt. I'm reminded of the work done by Charles Darwin, the English naturalist and geologist. His use of the phrase survival of the fittest, in my judgment, has often been misinterpreted. When he wrote about evolution, he wasn't contending that the smartest and the strongest and the fastest survived, but rather those species that were able to adapt to change. Now, companies that adapt and develop a risk-informed process of preparedness, regular evaluation, and a culture of resiliency will not just survive, they'll thrive in the years ahead, the years that I call the digital forevermore. We can succeed in that future if we are vigilant and prepared. I'm an optimist. I'm confident that we will be. I appreciate having the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. Thanks for your time and your consideration.